Voltron Network.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the DC versus Marvel podcast, where we talk about the latest DC and Marvel movie news. My name is Uz, aka Uzi Man Diaz, and I am your regular DC fanboy. And once again, in the red corner, representing Marvel Comics, is my boy Eds.
What's up,
And
guys?
Star Wars today as well. So,
Yeah, which
yeah, man.
which Marvel mate? They do their comics for Star
They
Wars, so
do, they do,
technically
they do.
correct.
Yes, they do. The kids have started to get really into watching like old cartoons and stuff like that. And it is amazing how many cartoons Marvel were involved in, right? Like you'll see like a Marvel sign at the end. So like Transformers,
Oh,
Silverhawks,
wow.
yeah, they've got like it says like in association with Marvel, like at the end, and it's like, okay, because
Why? Is it because
they're
maybe the stories they're taking influence from that they have to credit them,
I
or
think I think
okay.
from what I remember kind of on, I think it was like the Toys They Made Us or something, it kind of gives a clue, like basically
Oh,
like Hasbro and stuff, they couldn't make the comics, and they tried to make a thing like you can watch the program, you can buy the toys, you can get the comic, and they'd always ask like Marvel or whatever to make the comics there for them.
mm,
So a lot of the time Marvel, because they're the experts in that, would develop the characters even more,
yeah.
and say like that kind of thing. So yeah, interesting. So
Marvel
we
saved
could
the
go
day
into
again. Mhm.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah, Marvel Comics saved the day, which is one thing that I never have an argument about. It's that film universe. But anyway, anyway, man, is we've been kind of doing some kind of like shorter versions of the cast there for a while, because there hasn't been a great deal of news, and then like suddenly over the past kind of week or so,
Yeah.
just drops and drops and drops day after day, kind of stuff there. And obviously some of the stuff is slightly kind of older, and we haven't delved into it that much, and obviously some things even up until 1 hour ago, which I saw, and I'm just like, I'm driving in my car, and I saw this alert come up, and I'm like pulled over, and I looked at it, and I'm like, oh my god, what a time to be a DC fan. And I don't know if Ed's has seen that yet, but obviously I'll talk to him about it there anyway.
Oh.
But so yeah, what we'll do is, obviously we'll go into a lot of the Justice League stuff there. But I think there's no better time to kind of start off with than talking about the Mandalorian, episode 3, I think it is
Yeah.
now, right?
Chapter
So
11, I believe. Yeah, chapter 11.
chapter 11, and I kind of got an epiphany after this episode, right? Of what this whole thing is about, and stuff like that. But yeah, before I go into that, man, what did you think of this? We kind of had mixed thoughts about the first two, right?
Yeah, and this was a turn for the best. It was a move in the right direction. It legit felt like it was continuing a bigger story, literally picking up from last week, and it was just a fun episode. Like seeing Bo Katan from Clone
Yeah,
Wars in live form with the same actress doing the voice. It was like, yeah, I like this. Is cool, and they were kick ass. These were Mandalorians I want to see, even though they kind of
yeah,
made our Mandalorian look kind of bad because all he did is just
yeah.
get shot a bunch of times.
That's the thing. He's turning into the true what's it called, the true successor to Boba Fett, who Boba Fett just
Yeah,
just basically turned up for 10 seconds and then just gets like
yeah,
gets done. But I think kind of one of the things we always forget is the Mandalorian at the end of the day is he's a bounty hunter, and he's not grown up to be a warrior like these other Mandalorians are, kind of thing. Those other Mandalorians are, I don't know if they're going to continue with that story of the Night Owls and
have
the
to.
fact they were terrorist organization and all this kind of stuff there, but they are proper bred warriors, as opposed to this guy. One of the things that I would say though is, any blokes who are watching this, any guys who are watching this, get your wives to watch this, especially if you have young kids, because when they see the Mandalorian, your parenting looks a billion times better, right? Because he keeps putting this child in danger every 2 seconds, right?
The dumbest. Hey, why don't you let the baby stand on the edge of this mysterious hole that we have in our ship? Oh, love it. Okay, yeah, sure. That you can see that coming a mile off.
Yeah, blatantly. So it's kind of like I might do some DIY around the house and I might leave a screwdriver there for like 10 minutes while I go to the other room to go and get some parts to kind of finish this thing off. And my wife will blast me saying, why have you left the screwdriver here? It's so dangerous. There's kids around. Don't ever leave it there or I'm going to chuck it away. But that's when you show the Mandalorian and say, look what this dude does, man. He's like literally like the baby. And it's not even his kid. He's like the foster dad. You know what I mean?
True,
so,
but then again, you can go too far, man. Like that, isn't that a bit of a problem we have nowadays where we're too precious with our children that we don't give them that that we had as kids where we would just disappear for hours on end from like age 5. I would just disappear. I'd just be gone all day. And my mom wouldn't have a clue. And there were no mobile phones to say.
Yeah. I had basically when I was 7, all of us as a family, like my grandma never used to go on holiday apart from going back to Uganda and Pakistan. There's only 2 places she ever used to go to, right? And one year she's like, I'm coming on holiday with you guys. We're like, what? She's coming on holiday, amazing. And like we as a family, we all went to Thailand, right? Ooh. So basically like my sister, she was only 4 and I was like 7, 8 years old. And I was with my grandma and my mum, my dad and my sister basically like they were like, okay, we're gonna go and look around the market and stuff like that, try and find a place to eat, right? And this market in Thailand is a very well, I don't know the name of it, but it's a very, very well-known market in the red light district, right? Next to the red light district, right? And it's me and my grandma there, right? And my parents and my sister have been gone quite a long time. They've probably been gone about 30 minutes, right? Obviously didn't have mobile phones, nothing in those days. So we're just like, oh, you know, where the hell are they? Whatever, right? And my grandma's like, you know what? I'm laughing because this is so retarded when I'm going down. My grandma's like, the market's not that big, so you stay here and I'll go look around. I'll go look around the market, right? I'll go look around the market and try and find your parents. And the thing, and I was like, okay, I'm 7 years old. I'm like, all right, fair enough. So I stood there like a chump, basically, right? And then, you know, about 10, 15 minutes later, my grandma comes back with my parents. My parents are huffing and puffing like, oh my God, she left the son there. And I think about it now and I'm thinking,
guys, Uz's life could have gone a very, if someone got hold of you in Thailand, your life would have been very different.
Exactly. My sister says to me to this day, she goes, my real brother is in Thailand somewhere. They swapped. They brought a kid and left him there and took you somewhere else, man. So yeah, so that's the thing about being precious, man. My grandma left me in a market in the red light district in Bangkok by myself at 7 years old.
That's the beginning of a movie, of an 80s movie, of a kid just having this crazy adventure, meeting lady boys and running from gangsters and all sorts of craziness you could have got up to.
Yeah, I mean that's the sanitized version of what could have happened, right? You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, we obviously were very. There's this book actually. It's called The Dangerous Book for Boys and Dangerous Book for Girls, and it's basically kind of like tells you ways to kind of make it that they can do stuff, but also so they're not going to hurt themselves too bad, if you know what I mean. So, but this is the thing, like that baby. I hate saying Baby Yoda because it's the child, but basically that child has some kind of powers. So I don't know, like, you know, he's kind of leaving it there, but also at the same time, it's like kind of thinking, okay, maybe it could get out of something if it was, you know.
And hands up, I was wrong. My theory about the Baby Yoda was eating the eggs for some bigger purpose. Just turns out he's I don't even know. He's pro-abortion apparently because he's just killing these kids. We just watched him kill a bunch of babies.
So
for no reason.
So there was a controversy about that, which actually the writer went on Twitter and answered it, right? Because all these vegan activists and stuff were like complaining, like, oh, you know, he's eating like fetuses and blah blah blah, which is funny because like half these people are pro-abortion as well. But anyway, the thing was, the writer said basically what he's eating is kind of like an egg that comes out of a chicken, an unfertilized egg.
Yeah.
So it's not actually a baby, as it were. It's kind of an unfertilized kind of thing. And the funny thing is, like, for all those eggs that she had, there was only one frog that bloody came out of it, one tadpole or whatever came out of that. You know what I mean?
So that missed opportunity to just add something to his lore, because it did seem how precious she was about these unfertilized whatever the fuck. It was like, it makes it cruel that he was just there eating them for no reason. It's like a really pointless thing. It's like, why do that then? Why write that in? It's not funny. Who actually laughed from that?
My kids laughed.
Oh,
my kids laughed at it, and it's typical. It's for the kids doing something stupid like that, man. So they're just to make them kind of laugh at. But the funny thing is like they made this big thing about she has to go there because this is the only planet that will support the life and blah blah blah. And in the end, they're the tadpoles in this bowl, basically, right? You could have that bowl anywhere in the freaking galaxy. So I don't know what that whole mission was about, but anyway, this definitely had a turn for the better, this episode. And kind of one of the things that I have to give a shout out to one of my friends who is actually saved on my phone as Mando, because this guy is like a lifelong fan of Star Wars, right? And basically dude got burnt when it came to the sequels and stuff like that, right? And he's always kind of held out hope, every single time like a new film would come out, like he'd be like, yeah, Last Jedi is gonna be all right, and then oh dear, and then like oh my god, hopefully Rise of Skywalker, because he posts on like the the dental film forums and stuff that I'm the moderator of, and he's like, yeah, maybe it's gonna be all right, and then he watches it and he's like, oh god, no. And with the Mandalorian, he's kind of like enjoyed it and then watched the first 2 episodes, listened to our review there as well, and messaged me saying, mate, I listened to your review and I'm really worried about this now. And then as soon as I watched this, I messaged him and I was like, mate, that was all right, wasn't it? And he was like, yeah, man, I'm so happy. And he was like, is great to see a really hardcore Star Wars fan just being super, super happy by this thing. You know what I mean?
But I do occasionally go out my way and listen to diehard Star Wars fans, like people that have Star Wars podcasts. Like, you think they've had it going for like a decade. It's like, what were they talking about in between all of these like big but somehow they found a way. But yeah, they were always high on it. They never saw that's the interesting thing. When you really, really love something to a fundamentalist level, you never see the cracks.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. Like I was saying, like I had an epiphany when I was kind of watching this, because basically, I was watching it, and when they kind of revealed the Bo-Katan stuff, I was like, okay, I see where they're going with this, because they're targeting this at the same market as the Clone Wars is, right? And whatever you say, like this, there's adults who watch the Clone Wars. I just started watching it with the kids and stuff like that. But that is made for children, right? It's got dark elements, stuff like that. But it is kind of made for that older children, like 14-15-year-old kind of kids to kind of watch. And that's the thing, that's the market that they're kind of trying to target. So that's where the silly Yoda munching the eggs comes from. That's where the not too complicated story comes from. And when you kind of watch this kind of thing, before in the previous episode, it was like, okay, yeah, they're trying to show us how cool X-Wings used to be. They're trying to show us, like, remind us of the old thing. And in this, they had elements of that, but it actually seemed like it fitted, better. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like this episode retroactively made the episode before better, because it directly continued on all of those sort of negative things that was like ho-hum about. It just makes the whole thing tighter if you just look at it as one little piece of work.
So you're like you're a huge fan of like the Netflix ideology of releasing everything in one
I've come
chunk.
to be, but sometimes
So
it bites you in the ass because you do have to wait a long time for the next.
for the next season.
Yeah.
But then when you're looking at this, do you think that, okay, if they released, say, even half a season, right, and you watched it one after the other rather than one in a break and one in a break, that it would seem better? Or
It with these two particular episodes, yeah, because there's a direct connection. But for the most part, we know that that's not how they're doing Mandalorian. They are just still doing its little monster of the week. So if they keep on doing that from this point on, then I don't think it really makes the difference in the experience.
and how many episodes have we got in this? I can't
I can't
remember.
remember, if I'm honest. I don't think it goes too long. I think it's only like, I don't know, like 10 or something, 10 or 12.
Because we heard like they've given a date now, haven't they, for WandaVision, right? So I would assume that this is going to go up until that point, and literally that stops, and straight away we're going to get into the WandaVision stuff, because they're not going to want any breaks or anything like that to occur, man. So what would you rate this episode?
Ooh, out of 5, give it. I got Katie Sackhoff back. I'm a big Battlestar Galactica fan, so that was that made me happy. And obviously Bo-Katan, because I do like Clone Wars. Got Sasha Banks and Pro Wrestling suddenly popped up in the show. So all of that builds it up to 4.5 for me. Oh, 4, no. 4. I'm gonna say 4.
4.
Solid 4.
Yeah, I'd say 4 as well.
5.
I mean, let's save the 4.5s for Ahsoka Tano, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're gonna want to see Ahsoka Tano with dual lightsabers, and
they're not gonna make us wait until like the very end of the season.
Do you know what? I'm wondering whether they might. I mean, this whole season has kind of reminded me a lot of the Force Unleashed game, right? Because it follows this kind of very similar kind of pattern where you're doing like little missions. You've got this Star Wars kind of background, and right at the start of each thing, they kind of mention somebody. So they might mention like a Jedi or something that you got to go and visit, and then the rest of it is like people giving clues to that person, and then you spend like 10 minutes trying to kill that Jedi or whatever.
It is
right?
Very video gamey in its storytelling format, very much so.
Yeah, so I don't mind that too much, but
I'm actually hoping they won't leave it too long. That way, it will be sooner rather than later, because there's a lot. I think they're building up to this. They got Bo-Katan saying that she's after that dark lightsaber that the El Polo Loco dude's got. That will always be his name.
He's never gonna have another name.
That's his name. Jesus. So they got to build on that. So that's got to go somewhere. And then they've also got to build on the fact that the Ahsoka is going to have her own spin-off show. So you'd expect that they're going to really want to, for people that aren't that familiar with Clone Wars, to build her up to be worthy of having her own spin-off. So she won't just pop up right at the very end.
I mean, they do seem to have an obsession with like everybody getting a spin-off show, and like kind of like teasing spin-offs here and there, and it's like we'll let this one have some time to breathe there first before you kind of say spin-off here and spin-off there.
What I mean? Disney have said that Disney Plus is now going to be their focus for their business until like the parks aren't going to open anytime soon, not in a massive full-scale way. So this is where their primary focus is. So they have to make content for it. Not that all the years that they had.
And the thing is that if they do the only one thing that annoys me about Disney Plus is the app is really slow.
Yeah.
Right. And it's bizarre, like the loading times, like PS1 level loading times and stuff. I guess we've obviously been spoiled by Netflix, where it's like instant pretty much, right? But this is like, I'm just like, sometimes I put it and I'm like, okay, is anything happening? It's only literally half a second, right? But it's just like, it's just annoying, like how long it takes. So they need
Disney. You'd think they'd have the time and the know-how and the technical expertise. Like, they're building robots. Like, have you seen that new robot that they've got that stares you direct in the eye with these creepy dead eyeballs, and they want it for their theme park? It just like when you talk to it, it instantly like recognizes who's talking.
No, that's messed up.
horrible.
That's
I'm sending you a
messed up.
link.
They're gonna try. Yeah, they're gonna eventually try and replace all the people who work there, aren't they?
Yeah.
With these effed up robots, man. Oh
Yeah.
my god, that would be freaky. In fact, I'm looking forward to that. Not then, but like I'd like to go to that maybe 100 years in the future when it's a effed up dystopia park
Westworld.
where there's like
It'd be
with these like
Westworld.
robots with half their face falling off and like like welcome to the park like that kind of messed up. Yeah, exactly. I loved it. Like what's it called? AI, that the AI film, man. So yeah, we were gonna kind of talk about this before and get into more detail about it. We got into it a little bit there, but I think it warrants a bit more talking. And what we are talking about is Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, man. And the reason why is because we kind of talked about Johnny Depp and him. His career seems to be, in terms of blockbusters and stuff, I can see, yeah, he's gone. It looks like he's going to be one of these people who's like, okay, he's going to have this thing in the back of his career, but every single time there's going to be, maybe every 6 months to a year, there's going to be a poster of some kind of indie film, and it's going to say Johnny Depp's best performance, or like Johnny Depp is amazing in this role or whatever, and he's going to be doing this character acting, like amazing character acting, but he's never going to get into those kind of big
Pirates
things
of the Caribbean level films. Yeah, that's pretty much done.
But the reason why obviously I wanted to delve into this a bit more, because obviously it affects DC, but also as well, sometimes something might happen in your life, or everybody makes mistakes, or everybody does something stupid, but the whole point is kind of admitting it, knowing it, working away from it, trying to sort it out or whatever. But it seems like Amber Heard is like stuck in this position where she's like, well, I didn't do nothing wrong. And you guys should be supporting me. And it's a very narcissistic, it kind of, for me, it's
the word I was gonna say, narcissistic.
It cements for me what everybody's been saying about her. And for legal purposes, she has admitted herself that she was just as involved in abusing him as they said that he was doing stuff there as well. And the main thing is basically, like, they did this interview there with her where they were talking about Aquaman 2, and like, there's this petition, and what do you think about this petition? And she's like, well, like, the petition, there's always gonna be people who hate on this, but Aquaman was made successful by the real fans, right? And they always use this real fans like moniker, which is pisses me off so much. But yeah, so she's like, from the real fans. So she is not acknowledged at all, like, literally. And her entire thing is like, well, he was at fault, he's been proven at fault in the court of law, and you now have to support me in this. Now, interestingly, even though nothing has come out from Warner Brothers, Kevin Smith said on his podcast that it looks like they might be trying to cut down her role there a bit, right? So there's a tacit admission of that. But what do you think that they should do, and then she should do?
Well, God, like, obviously I think they should get her out of there, because Mira's a cool character. I just don't want this little tiny if they do that. But apparently I'm hearing that her lawyers are fighting against that they don't want, because they want it to be like it was with the first film, that she's the co-star, on the poster and everything, not just some, hey, hi, bye, and then that's it, just disappeared. Which just get rid of her, man. But what I hate is the hypocrisy of it all. I think I've said it here before. But the fact is, her excuse against Johnny is, yeah, I abused him. But from the tapes of their conversation where she admits it, her excuse is, well, I'm a woman, you're a man. It doesn't matter what I do. You're the man, you're stronger than me. So that hypocritical excuse. But she's a repeat abuser. She beat up her ex-girlfriend. What's the excuse there? They're both women. Yeah, but not get rid of her.
Yeah, so I was because like the the DC versus Marvel podcast page, I've kind of subscribed to loads of different DC forums and Marvel forums on Facebook from it. I've been reading some of the things that people have been putting up, and one of the best things that I've seen is basically where we got the Flash coming and it just keeps getting delayed and delayed and delayed, right? And what the this person was saying was that Warner Brothers should concentrate 100% on the Flash, right? Don't worry about Aquaman. Delay Aquaman there for later. Try and make the Flash come out by 2022 and make it like Flashpoint and get Gal Gadot to kill Amber Heard in, in Flashpoint. And then it's like, and then Amber Heard's gone, and you can say, yeah, this is part of the story. Have you not read like Flashpoint?
Worry, it's an alternative universe. It doesn't matter. You'll be fine, Amber. Don't worry. But you need to sign this. Don't forget, it's this film.
Yeah, exactly. And you're gonna die from this. So that's all there is to it. So, and that's it, man. I think what's interesting is to see whether her other stuff is gonna dry up, because Warner Brothers may be stuck if they've given her a contract, but will all the other stuff start drying up now and they not give her?
I don't think that's an excuse, because it didn't stop them from dropping Johnny from Fantastic Beasts sequel, because he's being replaced by Mads Mikkelsen. I think is in the lead now to take the role. So it's like, if they can do that to him, then they shows that they have the power to get rid of people, but they just don't seem to have the impetus to do it.
Yeah, but I think they'd already paid him. Right, and it was kind of just because he got paid 10 mil for his role in Fantastic Beasts 3 without even filming it. It's like literally like that's your contract to kind of do, and it's just like just go with the money kind of thing. I think the problem is that there's things that we know that is occurring, and there's things that are legally true, right? And basically, in the eyes of the law, he's an abuser, and he's been proven to be an abuser, and unfortunately at that point Warner Brothers in between a rock and a hard place, and they have to get rid of him. That's all there is to it. With Amber Heard, we know that she's done stuff, and we know that she's done stuff to Johnny Depp, but basically it's like, okay, well, yeah, it's not proven, even though she said everything, so let's just ignore the lot.
Then minimize the role to an embarrassing degree in Aquaman 2.
That's the thing, but this is what leads us on to the next thing, which is another big thing we're going to be talking about, which is in the Snyder Cut. It looks like she's got a substantial role, right? And the problem is that people are going to watch that and be like, okay, we like this character. Is this character going to carry on? Especially the talking heads who are obsessed with getting certain people on screen more than other kind of people, so she could be seen as the poster child by some people, as like, oh wow, you survived this abuse from a Hollywood great. And the reason why I say that is basically when all the news came out about Johnny Depp, there's this comedian in the UK. She's a well-known feminist commentator as well. She comes on a lot of these kind of like politics shows and that kind of, and Sunday morning they have these like talk shows. She comes on stuff like that, and she's pardon? I can't remember what her name is now. But she comes on. If you saw her face, you probably know, because she comes on everything, right? And she was talking about like, how great it is that he's been outed, and basically that more of this should happen. The presenter didn't say once about, she's admitted that, she also beat Johnny Depp or anything like that. The entire conversation, and this is on Radio 5, so this is a national radio station. The entire conversation was about the feminist comedian who has probably never met Johnny Depp or Amber Heard, talking about how bad Johnny Depp was, how he's the tip of the iceberg, and there's tons of abusers like him that need to be outed, and they're in every single field, not just that, they're in comedy, they're in music, they're in whatever, right? So if you're the average listener listening to that, you're going to think Johnny Depp is the biggest piece of crap of all time.
There you go.
And then there's no choice, you know what I mean, apart from to go, man. So I don't know, you know, you kind of got to but the thing is, when I look at stuff like that and I think to myself, okay, fine, you know, I text people in my family, or like, you know, my wife or friends and stuff like that, and I'm maybe 10, 20 a day at the most on a big day. If there's loads of, you know, stuff coming out, maybe 30 or so to each person. But then it's like, you're looking at these guys, and these guys are banging out like 600-700 texts a day, plus voicemails, plus, you know, it's just the most toxic ass relationship you could ever bloody think of, you know what I mean? So have you been seeing the releases from Zack Snyder on the
I heard one of his interviews saying that besides the stuff that he originally shot, which is being recut in, all he's actually filming is 4 to 5 minutes of brand new footage. Has to be bullshit. You don't assemble all the cast that he's getting and all of these characters, which no way had to be in that original cut, for 4 to 5 minutes and 70 million price tag. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Obviously, there's, you know, 4 to 5 minutes to film is probably actually going to take quite a lot of time. But for 70 mil, you got to be thinking either that's pretty poor value, or there's something else going on. But then I think it was yesterday or the day before, he had a 1.5 hour kind of like interview where he's doing interviews there with Grace Randolph from YouTube, right? And he was showing like you know, the original trailer that we saw of the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
And basically, like, it had him, he'd cut certain footage and kind of designed it, stuff like that. And, you know, the CGI looked all right. It wasn't great. Now, obviously, they've been spending time doing the CGI and stuff. And he kind of showed the trailer again with like redone CGI. So Yuxas just looks unbelievable, like literally just amazing. Steppenwolf, brand new design there for Steppenwolf as well. So it looks like they're spending a crap load of money on the CGI, right? But there's so much stuff in there that is like, it's difficult to understand. So he's like saying, okay, in the new film, he's basically using an hour and a half of footage you've seen, so stuff that was in that Justice League film or trailer or whatever,
But
right?
Stuff, yeah.
But his stuff, and 2.5 hours of unseen footage. I mean, but 2.5 hours is insane.
Doesn't he say he wants more than what he wants it to be, more chapters than what Warner Brothers originally told him that he could have? So I think it was like, I can't. What was it? Was it originally it was supposed to be 3 or 4, but he wants it to be like 5 or something. So he wants 5 or 6 with an epilogue.
I mean, well, this is the thing. This is the for us, it's going to be the most interesting thing, because it's like we're not going to get HBO Max, right? Which, you know, we'll talk about a bit more in a second. But so we've got this crappy thing in the UK, which is Sky or Now TV or whatever, and hopefully it doesn't get released on there. But he's talking about internationally different ways of distributing it. So, you know, could there be an ensemble theater release? Could there be an ensemble release where it comes in, or are they just going to say, right, we'll release it exactly the same as the US, but on some shitty platform like Sky or whatever? That's going to be the kicker for me, because with Sky it's difficult unless you got like top package.
Come on us. We know if it's on something that we don't want to watch it on, we'll find alternative release.
We will find an alternative. Yes, we will find.
You kidding?
I'm trying to be like, professional about these things. We are professional reviewers of the, of DC and Marvel, man. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to obviously see the way that they're going to do it. But did you see the drop that came 20 minutes ago from Joe Manganiello?
I saw that he's put up some photos of
Yeah.
Deathstroke. Is that what's?
Yeah. So have you seen his Deathstroke look?
Mohawk.
Yeah, Mohawk, a lot older looking.
I don't mind it being old, but the Mohawk I cannot get on board with. No.
No, I'm just trying to think back to when
No.
actually Deathstroke did have a mohawk. I remember he did have like a shaved sides in the New 52, but that didn't last very long. That was
How
kind
old
of,
is Deathstroke supposed to be? So in his 50s, 60s, what?
yeah. I mean, he's fought in he's been doing Black Ops in the in the Cold War and stuff. So he's if we're thinking
50s.
that, yeah, he's got to be late 50s or so at least.
50-year-old dude thinks a mohawk is a good look. Like, what's the reason for that? That is never going to happen.
That is true. That is true. But then again, he has got the super soldier serum, and he is like, he is he is a complete, I don't know, badass character. You know what I mean? But that's the thing. Like, the interesting thing is, where is this coming from? So we also heard over the past few days, Zack Snyder saying that there is a brand new look for the Joker. Right now,
yeah, I've heard that as well.
The thing that I had to think about that is, okay, that's fine, but then wouldn't we have heard about this in the last 3-4 years? That Joker had a different look in the Snyder version, or whatever.
Obviously, this is new, part of that new stuff, because we heard that Jared Leto was coming back to film stuff. So this is probably that it wasn't filmed before, and it's supposed to be Robin. He's actually showing what happened to Robin, the death, or setting him alight, or whatever it is.
Yeah, and also about the he's apparently going to be in the Nightmare Future sequence.
Interesting.
Right. So so that's the thing. The thing is that I can kind of see where he's going, because he's got like he's showing Deathstroke, and he's saying Jared Leto's in here, and he's going to have a different look and blah blah blah. And obviously they're going to show him with the Robin stuff, but also in that Nightmare sequence. And I'm kind of thinking, are they going to have like the Legion of Doom with teaming up with Darkseid, or teaming up with the forces from Apocalypse, or something like that, in order to encourage this kind of this nightmare sequence there for the future? That would be the interesting thing. Did you see the Superman photo as well?
I did, but I also led to believe that this was just stuff that the photographer originally filmed during the original shooting.
So this is one. I'll send you all these pictures anyway, so it makes sense.
He's got the sheet on him, and he's got the green screen behind him, innit?
No. It's basically. Let me send you some of these photos, man. I'm gonna have to now, because it's gonna do my head in if you can't if you don't know what these photos are. But basically, Zack Snyder, there's a whole load of photos that have gone up, right? And some of them are like new CGI. So it's kind of like new CGI coming from the film, and it's kind of like a different style of cape for Superman. It kind of looks like Homelander-ish, and obviously Cyborg, and you've seen Steppenwolf as well, right?
What's the deal? I thought Henry Cavill wasn't shooting any new stuff.
It doesn't look like he is, but obviously, from what I can see, it looks like.
I saw that photo of him flying.
Yeah.
flying and
you lost your mic.
Steppenwolf and Darks.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
one
Sorry,
second.
you're back.
Yeah, Steppenwolf and Darkseid and Yuxas and all that kind of stuff there. It's an interesting looking cape because the cape it's like stripy, like a Homelander cape, right?
But is that
so
the actual cape, or I don't think that's the cape, you know. I think that's because it's a
is
projection.
that a rendering?
Yeah, because it's the projection, because you can see the stripes on his arms as well. So I think it's just because it's like
So
a
like,
holographic thing.
It's a holographic.
Yeah.
Cool. What do you think about Steppenwolf's new look in this?
Yeah, well, yeah, we saw that from before, but yeah, it's a lot more detail. Love it. So much better.
It's it definitely looks a lot more alien than the than the other style, right? So yeah, I mean, that's the thing, man. It's like obviously these things keep coming out, but it's like, mate, I just either want to see a really badass new trailer with some new shit in it, like literally new shit, or like or I just want a date where this is coming out and say, look, this is when it's dropping, you can watch it on this thing, and this is it, man. I mean, to be honest, I'd much rather just like, just chip down with like, my mates, with like with you guys, and Salim, with you, with if Mo, if we can get him out of bed, just go down to the IMAX and flip it, just watch it, even if there's an intermission in the middle, right? Just like 2 hours intermission, then thingy. It will just be, I'd rather watch that than being like watching it on TV, because I think it's gonna.
Yeah.
It's.
I would love to see it on the big screen. It's a shame.
Yeah. Well, that's the big screen changes a lot of stuff, man. I mean, I was I watched what's it called, Desolation of Smaug, kind of a few days ago on Amazon Prime, right? And I remember it looking all right in the cinema, right? And I'm watching this on my TV, and I'm like, this is the shittest CGI I've ever seen in my life. It's so seriously, wow. Like if you could turn it on Amazon Prime and just put it on your TV just for like 5 minutes and just marvel in the shitness of this CGI.
I haven't revisited it.
Horrible.
I haven't revisited that film since the cinema, because I just did not. The Hobbit films, I just could not. They were a travesty compared to Lord of the Rings, man.
I remember there's this bit in the film which is quite cool, where basically they fill this like dwarf cast with like molten gold, right? And then the cast just like breaks down and all this molten gold comes out. I remember looking at it on the screen and thinking, damn, that looks cool, right? And I'm watching it on my TV and I'm like, this literally looks like somebody just throwing some custard on the floor, right? It looks nothing like molten gold. It looks like absolute shite. Even like Smaug, right? Smaug is like flying through the air and stuff, and it's literally like somebody's got like a paper dragon, and it's just like,
oh come on, it can't be that bad.
It is, man. You gotta watch it. You will laugh. You will laugh so much. You'll be like, oh my god, it's so bad. There's this bit where like Evangeline Lilly is like looking, and Evangeline Lilly is like, she's really good looking lady and stuff like that. She's looking over at that Hobbit guy who like, falls in love with her or whatever. She's looking like this, and all you can see is literally like, you look behind her and it's green screen, because it just looks like just this face which has like been stretched and stuff like that, because this green screen, they've tried to kind of like paint this green screen behind her and stuff. It's horrifically bad. Like it's the worst of the worst of the worst that I've seen. Like there must be some setting that they put, like obviously like I'm watching this on my TV on like 60 hertz or whatever, right? There must be a setting that they're watching, like maybe they're watching,
I don't know, watching movies at 60 hertz.
That's what the TV is, you know what I mean? So the TV is at
50 or 60. Makes everything look like EastEnders. It's like, no, I don't want that. It's too much.
Yeah, so I mean on the projector, stuff always looks different, right? Which is what but I was just shocked at how horrific this thing looked on the TV, man. It was just bad. It's so bad. but yeah, anyway, moving on. The Snyder kind of one is way better. We also got some news this morning about Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So Wonder Woman is now going to go to be released in the cinemas in the US on the 25th. And we're in lockdown in the UK, so there's no cinemas open. And I don't know whether, because the lockdown's meant to finish like December 2nd or something like that, are the cinemas going to open on the 20? Well, we don't have cinemas open on 25th. I guess Boxing Day, to try and capitalize on this one film.
I
Would
think they'd
they
have to. I think
try
they'd have
it?
to. I think they'd have to. Maybe some may even be able to do it for Christmas Day, but I don't think it will make much difference. Like doing this the same time you release it digitally is a disaster because
Yeah,
millions of people are just gonna watch this. Are gonna bootleg this. They're not gonna. Even now, the people who wanted to see it in the cinemas, given how things are, there's a lot of people that still don't want to go to the cinema. Now we've been to
yeah,
the cinema, but I think most people won't.
yeah.
Just
Oh,
convenience.
yeah. I mean, I saw somebody today who came into my surgery who was like, he was standing, no lie, 15 feet away from me.
Yeah.
And I'd like go a bit closer to kind of talk to him, and I'd still be like 7-8 feet away, and every time he'd be backing off. It's like, mate, you're not gonna die like
Yeah.
literally this second
I
by me
had
walking.
that in the supermarket as well when you see someone just waiting for you to get from the till. And just you step over just to kind of grab something that's close, and it's like they freak out and just jump out of the skin. It's like,
Exactly.
come on.
Exactly. You know what's going to happen? One day we're actually going to get a zombie virus, and and it's going to be like actually that's the time when you need to be jumping away from people and stuff. And you've already exhausted all of that by jumping away from people with a lesser kind of disease and stuff. So yeah, I mean it's going to get bootlegged to shit basically, isn't it?
Yeah,
Pretty much, right?
it's crazy. I don't know why Warner Brothers are doing this, but it's mad. It's like they thought their take for Tenet was bad. It wasn't massively dramatic, but because Nolan can't help but spend ridiculous amounts of money for no reason, yeah, it was a bad take. This is gonna be even worse for this. Even worse.
Tenet is an interesting thing because I have to confess I watched Tenet twice now after watching
Wow.
the original, and I've started to get more of an appreciation for it the more I watch it, right? Kind of, it's one of those things where it's not that it didn't make sense the first time. It was kind of just like, okay, it's just too loud and too, in your face and too whatever.
Weird.
And now,
I was gonna say it's weird. Everyone keeps saying there was a bad mix thing. So I don't know. Even my ears are just damaged to hell. But I never had a problem with the noise of it, and I could hear everybody talking. So I don't know whether it's the cinema was just mixed it all different. I don't know, but that was
it might be because the first time I watched it in a thing called Super Screen, which is like a slightly smaller version of IMAX, right? And there was that whole bit when they're on the boat, on that with hydrofoil or whatever it's called. I could not hear a word. No, I was looking around like, what the hell are they saying? Like it's just and it's the music so loud as well, and I'm just like, shit, man, I must be going deaf or something, right? And then I texted some mates, and I was like, I couldn't even understand what the hell they were saying, and they're like, yeah, it was exactly the same for us. But that's the thing, like since then, I watched it, before the cinemas closed there on a 2D, and it was better there then, and now watched it there again, and kind of like last week, I pre-ordered the Steelbook because I thought, you know what, I actually am starting to like this film.
it's a good film. It still has problems, but overall, it's a solid film. My issue, anyone that hasn't seen it, you may want to skip forward like 60 seconds or something. But my issue is that where the film ends, he has to get to the point where he first meets Robert Pattinson, which is years in the past where Robert Pattinson first meets him. That means he has to live in
years in the future. Yeah.
He has to go back. Live backwards in real time, which doesn't practically. There's no practicality in that. How can you live backwards for years at a time?
So he's basically going he's going forwards now, isn't he? Because he's going forwards because at the end he kills the Indian woman.
Yeah.
And you basically have the woman who is who he saves throughout the throughout the thing.
But at some point he has to go backwards in order to recruit Patterson because he hasn't done that yet. So at some point he
is
has to go
Patterson
back.
in the past or is Patterson in the future?
Because Patterson revealed that the person who recruited me was you. But but Washington's timeline, he hasn't met him yet, or he hasn't recruited him yet, so he has to do it at some point.
Yeah, but
isn't
he going? The way I understood it was he's going forwards now, so he will recruit Patterson in the future, and in the future they'll do some shit together, and then Patterson from that point starts going backwards until he meets him in his past,
but no,
which is actually the future.
Patterson already existed in the present timeline going forward, so it was in his past. So he has to meet up with Patterson years back before, because Patterson knew him before he's trying to explain this. You need a chart.
No. I know what you're saying. I thought it's the opposite way around. So I thought basically like Patterson was like in the future. So he says he's 5 years in the future or whatever, right? And at the end, you find out that David Washington's character is the protagonist. So he's the guy who knows all about, kind of like, changing the timeline, going forwards, going backwards, operating the systems, all that kind of stuff. So like 5 years down the line, he's going to meet Patterson. They're going to get up to some shit, doing some timeline shit. And then he will make Patterson go through that machine. So Patterson now goes backwards and then meets him, 5-6 years in the past. And basically they then meet at that point. So at the point when Patterson says, well, you haven't met me yet, it's because it's about to happen in the future. And then they send Patterson back rather than him going back. That's the way that I understood it.
Yeah, I understood it the other way, that the timeline that he has to go back.
I'm going to have to watch it again now, man. That's the thing. Yeah. I'm going to have to watch it again. So that's, I mean, that's the thing. So like, with the, I've totally lost my train of thought now. Why did I bring up Tenet? Yes, I brought up Tenet because of Wonder Woman. Now, I hate to say this, guys, and I'm sorry from my DC heart, man. I feel bad saying this, right? But Disney got it right. Okay, now Disney are, you can say what you like about them with Mulan, but Disney have a worldwide platform, right? They're like, okay, fine. Everything is around the world. We've got our Disney app and you can open it in certain cinemas. So they opened it in certain cinemas and they opened it on their app, right? And it's like, you can buy it, you can watch it, whatever, okay? This thing with Wonder Woman is without doubt the dumbest, most stupidest, most idiotic, most retarded move. I shouldn't say that. That's not PC. Most thickest move I can ever think of a corporation doing, right? You basically have your app, right, that or whatever that works in one country in the world, right? One freaking country in the world, and you have cinemas that are generally closed around the whole freaking world because nobody's going in there, right? And the only one place where it's open because of, Trump wants everything open or whatever, is in the States. So you're going to go and open your film in the States to a diminished audience, and you're also going to put it on an app that only serves one freaking country.
What's mad is there's a vaccine now. There's more than one. There's more than one vaccine. So there's a glimmer of light on the horizon. You can see it. Just wait a little couple months. It exists. But nope, they just want to, whatever reason, they just want to throw this out there.
I think they're just like, they're giving up. I'm not joking. I honestly think they've given up because the thing is, like, with especially with like Nolan, all these directors, we got to realize, man, we live in a totally different world, right?
Yeah.
We're kind of like, where I'm not gonna say we're like humble or whatever, but there's a very big difference in a Hollywood person's
Every
ego.
man, exactly. We're part of the people. We're the everyman. They're on their
Yeah.
ivory towers. They don't know what's going on.
So you have somebody like Nolan, he's like, I am releasing it. And it's like, look, mate, you ain't gonna make no money because nobody can go there. Just leave it a year. No, my project, I'm releasing it. I'm releasing it. It's like,
People
are
will
you
come.
stupid? Are you stupid? Don't release it. Right. And it's like, no, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And selfishly, he does it, right? Saying, I think with Patty Jenkins, she's however much you kind of think, okay, she's a bit more down to earth, she's got a bit more, than Nolan. She still belongs to that Hollywood set, and that Hollywood set is like, no, I want my film out in the cinema, and I thought it was going to come in the summer and it didn't, and now it was going to be in the autumn and it didn't, so we are getting this out in Christmas. It is going to be the big film for whatever, right? And it's just like, no, how thick do you have to be to bloody do this, right? You've basically, you do it and you basically destroy. Firstly, you're not going to make any money, right? Because we've seen, even with Mulan, with a worldwide release on the app, on the in cinemas in the Far East and stuff like that, still didn't make that much money, right?
Admittedly, that had that little tinge of that anti-China sentiment that was kind of going around in the world at the time. So that
Yeah,
probably didn't help it.
yeah. But then you got Wonder Woman, which is now being shown to a much smaller audience. Um, it's not a Christmas film, right? But it's on Christmas Day, and it's also being released on an app that, um, only 300 million people out of a population of 6.8 billion people in the world could actually freaking get. The thing is, HBO Max, right? Okay, and FBI or whatever, turn off now because you don't want to hear this. HBO, you can't. It's not geo locked. You literally can't like go and go onto a VPN and like watch it. It's like you cannot subscribe to this if you're in another country. You can't like suddenly be like, oh, okay, you're actually in the States. Yeah, you'll be able to do it. It's like it just physically won't let you do it if your credit card or bank account is not registered in the United States, right? So you completely decimate any likelihood of your film making any money back, right?
But
And it's just
even
insanity.
with HBO Max, it's like, unless they're charging people within the app, which I don't think they are, because I haven't heard them say that they're going to do that, it doesn't bring you any more money. Not for the actual film itself, maybe for Warner Brothers in some other way, but for that movie's take, it doesn't get.
I honestly don't know what the thought process is, seriously. And the thing is this, right? We're getting to this, people are very spoiled, man. I remember when I was a kid and I used to long for DC movies, man. Yeah, like literally, I was just like, after I watched the first Batman, I was like, damn, son, I just want DC movies, right? And if it was up to people, if this kind of timeline was transplanted over then, with that success of Batman, we would have had 2 films a year like that. We would have had like, and we would have been so spoiled, like, damn, look how many are coming out. We would have just got it. Tim Burton would have had a flipping massive universe and all this kind of stuff, right? And we didn't get like, badass movies that much. If you go and look in the, charts, and you look in, okay, charts from the 90s or charts from the 80s or whatever, there's like maybe 3 or 4 amazing films in the year, right? Like tops. You won't get like 10 absolutely unbelievable films, or films coming out every month that are awesome. And that, I think, is the problem, because they've got this mentality now that like, okay, we need to be releasing amazing films all the time and nobody will wait and nobody will, the hype will be gone and it will be finished, right? And I think now is the ideal opportunity, man. Like next year, okay, you're going to have hunger for stuff, man, especially if the confidence comes back when the vaccines are coming out, and stuff like that. You're going to start to get, okay, well, Black Widow and Eternals and no longer Wonder Woman, but Morbius, which is gonna have people queue around the block for and stuff. And Suicide Squad and all these kind of stuff. People are just gonna build up the hype for it. But I think the problem is that they've got this mentality: we must get it out regardless, and that really is ruining cinema now.
Rush. I don't get what the rush is, because that's the one thing that we've heard from like Marvel side of things. They seem to be patient with it. It's like, okay, this is an issue, but we'll just sit back and take our time. And that's what they've done. They've not rushed anything out. Black Widows are sitting there on the shelf. No word on when that's coming out. We know that there's shows are still getting made. Shang-Chi's finished productions. Eternal, I think's finished or coming to an end or something. So it's like they're just waiting their time till everything's back open. They can just.
Well, that's the thing. I've been kind of ever since I started my own business like a few years ago. I've been listening to a lot of like. I'll carry on. Listen to a lot of like business stuff and podcasts and all this kind of stuff there. And the thing is, like, I kind of find like with a lot of businesses, one of the big issues is that you kind of get somebody in who's always like the so-called expert, right? So the so-called expert comes in and tells everybody, wow, this is what we can do to save the business, to make loads of money, to do whatever. And I find Warner Brothers is kind of like that. Warner Brothers is like, they've got some people who are in there, and those people who are in there are kind of like, well, you know what? We must release Wonder Woman, because if we release Wonder Woman now, then yeah, it's going to be awesome and we're going to make loads of money. Or if we put it on the HBO Max app, this is going to feed tons of people to our app and loads of people will be going there. And they don't really follow the analytics properly and stuff like that. So, a lot of these people are right place, right time. You know what I mean? Don't you agree, Eds?
Sure. I'm covered in saliva from a dog.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Dogs can get corona as well, man. So that's that is the thing, man. So anyway, I cussed Marvel for the last 2 minutes while you were gone, basically. But sorry. No, all I was just saying was basically like when you have I find that a lot of these big businesses, right? Basically what they have is they have these like advice group, people give them advice and stuff like that, they'll say like, oh, it'll be amazing if you put Wonder Woman on the app. Everybody's going to sign up to the app. And then everybody's there like clapping like, wow, what a great advice. And then they do it without even really researching it properly or whatever. That's what I reckon. But anyway, Eds needs to clean his face, so I think that's the time. This is the time. And I'm not going to give you any context for that if you just again. But yeah, Eds needs to clean his face. So that is a good enough time to end the podcast. Any guys, if you have any comments about Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, the Marvel universe, tell us what you're thinking about WandaVision, stuff like that, man. Snyder Cut, all that kind of stuff.
Do you think it's too soon for Wonder Woman to come out?
Yeah, man. All that kind of stuff there. I will start reading out your comments again. I know people are saying, why don't you read out our comments on thingy? But yeah, I will start reading out your comments again on Facebook there next time. And we'll get to all of those there as well. So you can go to the Facebook page, which is DC vs Marvel Podcast. Also go to the website, which is dcvsmarvelpodcast.com. And the Voltron Network YouTube page there as well, where you can see Ed's in his lovely home and me in my car polluting the atmosphere, and you can also find Ed's on the other podcast there as well if you want to listen a bit more to him. So what's the other podcast details?
Looking at the movies, you will see it if you go to Voltron Network on YouTube. 2 separate words.
Yeah, so look guys, we've got over 1,100 people signed up to our Facebook page. We haven't got that many people subscribed to the YouTube page. So I want all of you guys now to go from there and go and subscribe onto that there now, and just start giving us some likes and stuff on the videos.
Get to see his unboxing of his his graphic novels that he buys and his masks that he's getting and all these cool little toys that he keeps getting.
Exactly, yeah. So I will do that because I do those in the garage, so the wife won't see know that I'm spending all the money on those things. So yeah, you get to live my secret life basically. So anyway, guys, we'll hopefully see you with some new news soon, and we'll see you again next time.
See you there.